One of the blessings I receive from producing Find the Good News is in visiting with someone I've never met before and seeing their passion for service to others. This motivating episode with Owen Clanton, principal at F.K. White Middle School, started as soon as he walked in the studio door. He's a deep thinker, an infectious leader, and it's clear that he cares about bettering the lives of his faculty and students. We meander into some interesting places. In getting to know Owen, it affirms again that there are good people out there changing the world 50 cents at a time.
Wake up, it's morning. You're dreaming up a story. I can hear the way it's going, 'cause you're laughing in your sleep on the path to your deliverance, and a holy wall of light pouring through your window.
Old news, bad news, fake news. Sometimes you just want to shut it all down and get no news at all. With Find the Good News, I aim to change that by focusing on good people doing good work. I visit with artists, educators, civic and spiritual leaders, musicians, business owners, students, volunteers, and everyday citizens who are using their creativity, resources, and talents to bring hope and happiness to their corner of the world. In each episode, I dig into the hearts and minds of my extraordinary guests. We have street-level conversations about relatable things going on in their lives. Discover the critical life experiences that shape them, the perspectives that drive them, and the fundamental beliefs that are anchoring them to a path of goodness. There's a lot of news in the world. My name is Oran Parker, and I'm going to find the good.
And I love you just as well.
This is how it happens, man.
Same setup that Jocko and them use on theirs.
Is it the same setup?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
They're at a kitchen table.
Yeah.
Hanging out. You can hear it's funny in the background. Check it out. You can hear a screen door open.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when I first started listening to podcasts, I think that's what drew me into them because, when you're on the radio, you kind of have this awareness that I'm on the radio.
Right.
It's live or maybe it's not, but you just have this thing going on in I think maybe we all do. I don't know. I do. I get kind of self-conscious about what I'm saying and tailor every single thing, manicure my thoughts a little more.
Yeah.
But podcasts, I felt like, what is it about this that's attracting or encouraging people to open up a little more? And I think that might be what it is just the intimacy of the whole thing.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel contrived, I guess, or like you're trying to you ultimately you're promoting yourself or what you're doing, but it's just, I don't know, more personable. You can sink in a little more. I just think it's awesome to meet new people too.
I do too. That's what Carrie said. Carrie said, man, Oran just likes to meet new people. He just likes to talk. He just likes to find out what's going on. And,
I like to scratch, man. I mean, and not in a aggressive way. I've always been fascinated by what's inside of people.
Yeah.
I even some of the worst people, I don't even like using that word because I think if you scratch deep enough, you find it's coming from somewhere.
Yeah, like I'm a big why.
Yeah.
Are we rolling?
We're rolling, man.
Cool. All right.
I do it this way because it's easier.
Yeah.
You just go right into it.
So I'm with you. I was telling people today at work, it's like, we're such an interesting species.
Right on.
Like, what drives us, what doesn't drive us.
Yeah.
I love it. I love humans.
Yeah, me too. I mean, sometimes when I remember probably 20 years ago when I really started first thinking about that kind of stuff. And it was just contemplating things, just the basic thing of just looking at your own hand and going, okay, I mean, this incredible machine that I have, just what I can do with my hand, the dexterity of my fingers and all of this stuff. And that was, for me, I mean, boy, I'm going to jump right into it. I mean, for me, that I didn't even have to ask the question that some people ask, is there a God? I looked at my own hand and went, I see design. I see purpose, function. It doesn't look like chaos to me. So I didn't even know that I was formulating the answer before even asking the question. So it was kind of easy. And that's usually the first place I go when I meet somebody who maybe has an agnostic or an
an atheistic worldview, which for me, always felt a little colder, kind of made things just a little deader, and so I thought, when I look around, I just don't see that. I see life, I see color, interest, creativity, things that human beings do as intelligent creatures, that we create. We do these things, and we're easy to look at ourselves and give ourselves credit for things. But everything else that we have nothing to do with also arises in the same way. So I don't know. To me, my ultimate trail back was to intelligence. I mean, just intelligent design.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
actually, it's really. I've been listening to Simon Sinek.
I'm not familiar.
So just to kind of give you a rundown, all the things I may reference, I've been on this kick where just studying leadership.
Yeah,
and studying people who have studied leadership. I just. If you're interested, Simon Sinek, Sinek, wonderful stuff. He's got a TED Talk out there that a buddy just sent me yesterday. It's a summary of his book, Why Leaders Eat Last, in 12 minutes. And the audiobook's out there, and that's about 8 hours.
Wow.
So depends on your driving time and what you have.
But you can work that through.
Absolutely.
Yeah, morning commutes and stuff.
But one thing he brings up is people want to be led, not managed. Okay?
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, I want to be led. I want to be inspired, motivated. I want to be made better.
Yeah.
Through our interaction. So, good stuff.
I've actually kind of the same thing. I kind of fascinated by leadership. There's this picture that circles around the internet every once in a while. I'm sure you've seen it. It says boss and leader, and it's got the people that are carrying this guy on a throne, and he's pointing ahead, and that's the boss,
right?
And then the leader has the same cart, but he's in the front of the line with the people, And I always thought that's true. I mean, I tend to respect somebody more that's willing to, they've been where you're at, or even if they haven't been where you're at, they've attempted to understand where you're at, and then they go with you. They're not just sitting in a high tower somewhere,
Yes.
So, well, man, we jumped right into all that.
Yeah, sorry. All right.
No, that's good. I'm glad. That's exciting. I'm actually even more excited to talk to you now. I've kind of, I don't know you, obviously.
Right.
This introduction was made through Carrie. So when we put the show together, that was the first thing I did. I said, I've got these 4 or 5 people that I really like a lot, and I think they're doing good things. And so my first reaction was to ask them, okay, based on your judgment, your opinion, who should I be talking to for this show? And so you were in that wave of people that came through, and I'm so glad you agreed. I did a little internet stalking so I could get to familiarize myself with you. And so you're the principal at
FK White Middle School, yes.
Okay. Well, you guys are doing a lot of stuff over there.
Man, look, we are hooked up. It's awesome. I mean, it is truly just a great place to be for adults and for children. It's cool.
How long have you been the principal there?
This is my 5th year.
5th year.
Yes.
So compared to before you were principal, I mean, I'm seeing all kinds of media coming out of there. I mean, y'all are doing one of the things that jumped out. You have the Hot Mess Express.
Yeah. So that was, social media is a blessing and a curse in itself. Myself and a couple other faculty members are members of a closed Facebook group, and it's a worldwide administrator group.
Okay.
And man, they generate ideas from across the world. And one thing was the woot wagon, like woot woot.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
That's the only time you'll hear me say that because it just doesn't fit me.
I gotcha. Yeah.
But the Hot Mess Express, because you never know what you're going to get, man, we bring small little treats to teachers, and we've given out notebooks. We are giving out gene passes, simple stuff.
Yeah.
But the message and the fuel to fuel the Hot Mess Express is just a simple thank you to educators. And it doesn't matter if you're a teacher or a paraprofessional, cafeteria, custodian, secretary. It is a multifaceted team to run a school, and everybody has to have that passion because it's tough work.
Yeah.
Very rewarding, great work. but that's what fuels it, is their passion just to go and say thank you.
So why that's I've had this comes up with everybody I've talked to so far, and that's letting people know that they're valued. I mean, all across the spectrum. Why? I mean, for you, I mean, maybe it's a common answer, but why is that so important?
You know, I think for me, I'm on the cusp of Generation X and Millennial.
Okay.
Right? I was born in 83.
Okay.
So words of affirmation is a love language of mine. And I think that would be a typical characteristic trait, of millennials, definitely. But just at the end of the X. So I just think we value respect. I think as a basic hierarchy of need, once we have that shelter and that safety and the food, then we look for that social acceptance. And so just knowing, one, people notice, two, the job that we do, and that it makes a difference.
Yeah. I totally agree with that 100%. I mean, I was born in 74, and I can say that I think that there's probably a lot of people out there that feel like what they're doing doesn't matter. And I think it really does affect the overall quality of life of a person. I mean, you can be doing anything, and if you feel like it matters, it doesn't matter what it is.
Well, we're all searching for purpose.
Right on.
Whether we know it or not, in my opinion. Of course, I'm no doctorate in this.
You just intuit this.
I love people.
Yeah.
I've always loved people. I've never met a stranger. I think my son has that trait as well. It's just we all want to know that we're doing something for a reason.
Yeah, I agree. I think when I find that place, I can really, it doesn't matter what I'm involved in. I've found that I used to wonder about that a lot. What am I here for? I mean, I talk to some people, and that creates like an existential crisis for them.
Oh, yeah.
To say, who am I? And, Mickey Smith and I were talking about that, and he said the same thing. He said, that is the question we should be asking. Who am I? Why am I? It doesn't need to be a negative question. It's a true motivator. When you start digging, for me, I always thought, well, it's going to be a thing I need to do, or a job or a thing like that. And I think that as I get older, I start to go, okay, I think I was mistaken. It's not a thing I do. It's anything I do.
Right. Big message that we push at FK, and it comes full circle. When I was in high school, my dad would ask me to do affirmations.
Really?
I put them on my mirror. I played baseball, and some of it when I was going through a slump, he would recommend, hey, why don't you say this every morning?
Yeah, like little mantras for you to, that's
right.
awesome.
So about 3 years ago, started doing that at FK on the morning announcements.
Yeah.
And the slow trickle of change, it's not tangible, but it's present. Mm-hmm. And so that's a big message we push, is it doesn't matter who you are, what your role is, what your job, you're going to make a difference.
Yeah.
Period. It's either going to be positive or negative.
Yeah.
You can't have an interaction and not make a difference. So you get to decide.
Yeah.
How am I going to respond to the person? I can't control that person. Everything is based around I am in control of my choices. Simple kind of cliche school stuff, but it's more applicable to life. What's this week? This week is failure is... It doesn't define me. Failure does not define me, and my growth comes from failure, right?
Yeah.
And then it's just a reminder I am strong. And so we push it. We push it. Sometimes it's for me to hear.
Sure.
And a reminder.
Yeah.
And I just bring 715 students and about 100 adults along with me.
That's something that I think even in our business that I try to do too. And you have to... And that's something I thought when I was looking at your Facebook page and the media that y'all are doing at FK White. I thought, it takes somebody just kind of sticking it out there, because your message is to parents. I just recently started looking at what you were doing, and I thought, man, you could totally not be doing this. You could maybe be driving to work and having that thought, because we all do it. I mean, you
Right.
sound like a contemplative guy, so I'm sure you have all kinds of things that you're thinking about all the time. And some of it probably just gets lost before you get a chance to catch it, right?
Absolutely.
But you get to work and you're going, hey, I thought about this. You could just keep it to yourself, use it for your own well-being, and you could maybe talk to your wife about it and maybe your kids. But to stick yourself out there and put a thought out there into the world, I honestly think it's courageous, because, I mean, especially today, I really do.
So a couple of points. I used to not. I used to hold it and just let it go and maybe just stew on it for a week or two. And then I've grown in my faith.
Yeah.
And so there's a reoccurring question when I hear that small voice in the back of my head that is pushing me to do something positive,
Yeah.
right? Is what if Mary said no?
Right. Yeah.
You know, that just drives me. What if Mary said no when Gabriel came and
Right.
said, hey,
Then-
boom, where are we today?
Right.
So it has taken a long time to get to that point to say, you know what? I feel it's being placed on me for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I'm going to share.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to encourage you. If anybody's out there listening, I bet you at some point there's been a thought about maybe an old friend. Maybe you haven't talked to them, or maybe you haven't talked to your mom or dad in a little bit, or a
Yeah.
sibling. Call them. Shoot them a text, right?
Yeah.
Something. Just reach out and say, you've been on my mind. How are you? And that's just check in.
Right.
You know, that's where it started.
Yeah.
And then it's built to this, and it's like, I'm a parent. I have, by way of, you know, parents of 715 children and at my school, and you don't, parenting's hard,
Right.
period.
Yeah.
We need to know that we share struggles. You're not alone.
You're not alone.
You know, you
Right.
need to know that.
That you're hitting on stuff that's very important to me. I think people, just in general, especially children, want to know that they're not alone, that somebody sees them. Mickey talked about that, and what's so strange when he brought it up, I didn't expect that to come up in every single interview. But that has come up every time, that there's people that are hurting and they just want to know that their life matters, that they've seen, especially children. And I mean, I know I've heard people say, well, it's hard to live so sensitive to go, well, you know, you don't know what happened with somebody today. You don't know what's going on in their life. And on one hand, I would say, well, maybe the world we've built has made it hard to live so sensitive because it's so fast paced and we all have so much to do. But realistically, I think if you start taking out all of that stuff, it's really actually not that hard to do, to just take a big breath and go, maybe something's going on. I don't know. What if I asked that question? Just said, is everything okay?
Right.
And you might find out you're saving somebody's life that day just by having that conversation.
Man, a guy that I heard speak, he was motivating teachers. His name is Mark McLeod. Great story. But he ends every talk that he does with, be the positive force in a negative society. You know?
Yeah.
And something we say all the time at school, adult to adult or adult to student, is it costs nothing to be kind.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
it's literally free to smile. Mm-hmm. Just smile at somebody. That could be a difference maker.
Yeah, I've heard that the apostolate of smiling go around. And when I heard that, I said, oh, I'm in. Because that's one of my, and I guess maybe it's a pet peeve, which that in a way kind of sounds negative in and of itself, but it's something I've been curious about. Because I think perhaps, maybe it's just me, I don't know, but I think we're sort of living in a scowling society. And I don't know why, but I have some thoughts as I'm going to the grocery store, I'm at the gas station, and any line I'm in, these thoughts start to show up.
Yeah.
And I tend to people watch, and I go, well, I'm watching the interactions of the people with the cashier, you know, and going, what's the experience like right here? There's two human beings. They're going to be together for, 5 minutes. And you have this choice at that moment to either person, the cashier or the person checking out, to choose to just be nice and just the niceties of how are you, how's your day. And what I have found is that when I just start smiling way back at the end of the line, by the time I get up there, the cash register is so thrilled to be greeted by eyes that are lit up and a smiling person. And then we actually don't just say, hey, how are you doing today? We actually kind of sometimes have a little tiny chit chat that's a little more as real as you can get at the checkout line.
Right.
I feel better and always think, what are the people behind me now doing? Are they doing what I was doing? Are they watching too?
That's right.
You know, and then is any of that passed down the line? And so that's just, for me, it's like an analogy of life. If you go in with a smile, you don't know, man. Somebody else might really just have made a choice to be hard.
That's right.
But so what? I mean, what is it? What do I gain by being hard back? I mean, I don't gain anything. I'm just teaching myself to bury a part of myself that I want to be out in the world. You know, it becomes habit.
I agree. I mean, we are the sum total, right?
Yeah.
Of all our experiences, and I don't know. We've all struggled.
Yeah.
You know, we've all had ups and downs, and it's just how are you gonna tackle today?
Right.
You know.
Yeah, that's I bring this up a lot, but for the word that I used was there's a hinge in my life, and I think we all have different ones. But I had a hinge a few years back when my father passed away, and it occurred to me at that time how quickly I was having to get back to business. And that for me was a big self-study because I thought, I'm not ready. I'm not really ready. I'm just not.
Right.
But I'm going to force myself to put the face on and do all the things because there's other people who need me to be strong right now, and there's, business to be done. Right. But it really made me look at that and go, how many other places in my life am I kind of screwing in differently just to get through it? That's really what happens if I don't? What happens if I just stop doing that and go, well, actually, I want to ask this person this question. Mm-hmm. Normally, I might have held back because I'm like, well, that's inappropriate. You're in a meeting. It's not really inappropriate. It's just we're not used to it.
Right.
Hey, are you okay? Hey, I heard that you're such and such has been sick. Well, most people I have found really in business meetings, they don't want to talk about that stuff. It's like, don't bring that stuff up. That's separate.
Right.
And I go, man, I've got all these little silos. I'm this person for here, and I got to be this person here. Right. And I was like, that's not whole living.
It's exhausting.
Oh, it's exhausting. It is. And I just can't. I can, but I don't want to do that.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. And I don't want to teach kids to do that. And I guess bring it back, I have children too. And sometimes I think I might have created little monsters, and not in a bad way, but because I've taught them to be thinkers. And sometimes I see it frustrating other people.
Right.
Because they're like, you just need to accept this. And my kids just they're not wired that way. And I'm going, well, I'm not wired that way. So what did I expect was going to happen? I've taught them to ask questions and question things that they go, that doesn't seem right. Why? I just want to know, As an educator, how do you do that? Because, a lot of people would say exerting control is the only way to get things, done with a bunch of kids.
I think a great misconception is that there is such a thing as control.
Yeah.
If we can't give you the why, we don't do it. If I can't explain to you why we're doing it, we don't. We just don't do it.
That's actually pretty awesome because that's not it's not hypocritical. You don't have to be a hypocrite to a kid.
Sometimes the why is not a very good why, right? Sometimes there are external sources that require this action to do it, and that's some of those you still have to accept and do. Yeah. But the why is still there. It's, hey, look, we have to do this because XYZ.
Man, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to retain that because I've never thought of that before. If I can't tell you why, then I'm not going to ask you to do it. And maybe there is a reason, and before I ask you to do anything, I need to know myself if you're asking me. So.
It's just taking the time to explain it. Sometimes it's really nice to say because I said so, because we know the why. We know that, like for our personal children, don't run out into a street without looking both ways.
Yeah.
Because I said so is just a whole lot faster than, well, a car is probably texting, doing the radio.
Big dialogue.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But, my children are the same way. They want to know why. And if you give them the why 9 out of 10 times, they'll accept it and do it. They're still human, so they're still going to test the water and some, but that's what we do.
Well, it gets back to what you kind of circling back to what you said at the beginning about leadership. I mean, a good leader is somebody that I think you learn to trust. That you don't just go, man, I trust them just because of their persona. Maybe some people do. I think a lot of us maybe do. We get allured by a personality.
You may get initial trust.
Yeah,
but then when there's a directive given or a situation scenario plays out, you have the opportunity to lose or
further.
gain.
And
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So by doing it, what you're saying is, just like you said with your children, it's like, listen, you hope you've given them enough sound advice and over a period of time. Then when you say, don't run out in the street, they're like, I trust dad. Because, he hasn't steered me wrong. He's given me the benefit of the doubt. He's explained things before. In this situation, I trust him. Why wouldn't I?
Right.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think trust is something that just further solidifies over time.
Well, but the whole idea, too, as far as knowing the why.
Yeah.
It goes right back to what we were discussing about purpose, too. Because then we easily tie in, okay, so how does this align with, one, our goals or our vision? And this is for life or work. But what is our why? Why do we get up and come to work? Why do we do what we do? And that's a huge rudder for me in life and job. Why do I go be the principal over there? Why do I, interact the way that I do?
So getting into the why, take me back to, you decided to get into education.
So I was born and raised in Covington.
Oh, one of my favorite podcasters is from Covington.
Oh, really?
Theo Vaughn.
Oh, yeah, man. So Theo, if you ever...
Oh, man, I hope he listens to this. I'm a huge fan.
I'll tag him in it. So Theo actually grew up with my brother.
Get out of here.
Him and my brother.
You're kidding me.
No.
That's such a small world, man.
Theo, if you ever listen to this, love your haircut, dude.
Oh, my gosh.
Love your current haircut.
Yes. That's incredible, man.
So,
I didn't think this was going to come up.
Yeah, so come over here. I come play ball. So my dad was a teacher, principal. My mom was a school secretary and then went into helping the children that needed in-school suspension. She worked as that role for a little bit. My grandfather, so my dad's dad, he was a speech pathologist and he served at the school board in St. Tammany Parish. So apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I grew up in schools back when we had textbooks and, somebody had to inventory textbooks. So it was the principal's children, So it wasn't really until I started playing ball at McNeese, playing baseball, and working winter camps and summer camps and just seeing kids kind of light up.
Yeah.
When they finally got what we were teaching and just that spark of, oh, I get it now. And it's just that child's game got better, right? So that idea has evolved into that student's life may have gotten better in 10 years, right? An idea that we planted, and it's not about brainwashing or doing anything like that. It's just giving them foundation of support, of educational support, of, interaction, how to deal with peers, coping mechanisms. And again, going back to the team concept that we, with the counselors, bringing them in for those that need that, just giving them whatever support they may need to the best that we can in a professional setting. Support looks different for everybody.
Sure. Yeah.
We all have different needs, specific needs, but we all boil down to Maslow's hierarchy.
Sure. Yeah, I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
I do, yeah.
So we're all on that pyramid.
Yeah.
And it's just the ability to impact the future.
Yeah.
That's the why.
And so how long were you a teacher before you?
All right, so my educational journey, I started in Sulphur at EKK Elementary.
okay.
Oh, yeah. 5 years of elementary PE. Wonderful time. Great school. Great people. Love the community. And then I went to Iowa at Joe Watson for 3 years as assistant principal. And I've been blessed with the communities that I've worked in. I mean, the Iowa community is amazing. And if you don't know where it is, it's spelled Iowa if you're rolling through I-10.
Yeah.
But the community is hardworking, just great people. And then, so 5 years ago, got on the FK White Wolverine train. So
Yeah, Wolverines,
that's
man.
right.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. It's been a good ride.
So why does someone make a jump like that? I mean, to get out of, just being a teacher and then moving into, becoming a principal. Why would you?
Well, I think one thing that I really enjoyed as a PE teacher is EKK at the time had about 500 students, and I was able to build a relationship with the whole school with 500 students, right?
Yeah, because everybody's coming through.
Everybody comes to the gym.
Yeah.
And then I just saw that, and it's like, I wonder if I could make an impact on the adults who then have a more intimate relationship with 20-ish, give or take, in their classroom. And so, can I inspire? Can I motivate? Can we learn from each other to get that?
I'm fascinated listening to what you're saying because, not everybody talks like this. I mean, and I know you might say the same thing as almost every other humble guest I've had is that, well, I'm nobody special. I'm just a guy, or I'm just this person, But what you're saying is these thoughts that you're sharing is, I thought, now maybe I could have an impact on the adults too, or maybe I could have an impact on the kids. I don't know that everybody's having those thoughts. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know that everybody's going, hey, maybe I could change something.
There's only one way to find out.
Yeah.
One of my messages that just keeps coming up is just how powerful you are as a person. And if you're listening to this, you need to understand you may not think so, but you have this potential power inside of you to make a positive difference if you just put that in motion.
Yeah.
Turn that potential into kinetic and just go do something nice.
Yeah.
Put 50 cents on the Walmart drink machine out front that it's literally still 50 cents, which is amazing to me. But man, hey, have a drink on me. Boom, 50 cents. Who cares if you ever know?
Yeah.
You're going to make somebody's day. You're going to help somebody that wanted it or needed it, whatever the case may be. Small little acts of kindness.
Yeah, tiny
immeasurable.
stuff.
And I'm happy, I know it.
You've probably heard me mention filming videos, building websites, creating logos, or building brands on this podcast. Well, there's a good reason for that. I'm a brand builder, and my brand is Parker Brand Creative Services. My team and I have built countless brands in the Gulf Coast region, and a lot of our work in the travel and tourism industry is experienced across the country and honestly the whole world. We have our specialties: web, logo, package, and whole brand design, as well as video production and photography. But the reality is we function as a full-service advertising agency to businesses that don't really mesh well with larger advertising agencies or just don't want to have in-house creative departments. But don't listen to what I say. Just go to our website, parkerbrandup.com, and take a look at what we do. We're a show it, don't say it team. Okay, you should definitely say it too, but you know what I mean. That's parkerbrandup.com. We think sideways, we push forward, and we'll get your brand up.
So take this, you've earned it, a melody in chorus.
I think that's something that maybe gets in the way of a lot of people. I know I'm guilty of it, is seeing daunting problems as just giant mountains and going, I want to do something, and then you do nothing because it feels insurmountable, instead of doing what you just said and what so many other people who've come on here have said, which is just do small things, do what you can do. And then you arrive at a bigger.
Well, and you gotta, man, it's so complex but simple at the same time. If I just start,
Just start, yeah.
If I
right.
just get started, right? There's a gentleman right now, and I don't know when this is coming out, but there's Chris Bro. I don't know if you've seen this on Facebook.
I don't think I have.
He has taken a challenge. The Orange Grove Cemetery in Lake Charles is, I want to say, and y'all fact check me, I want to say it's the largest display of Avenue of Flags when they do the Avenue of Flags for Veterans Day.
Yeah.
He began one-man show with his children, his wife, cleaning the headstones because it's a big attraction, and these are 100-plus-year-old.
Yeah,
headstones.
I did see this on Facebook. I have seen about the cleaning of the headstones.
Cleaning them up, right? Getting them ready.
Yeah.
And so I think he now has around 100 people
going out there
to do it, and so all he did was get started.
Yeah,
that's it.
Have you seen? And on that note, I don't want to digress too far,
sorry.
but it's on that note. Have you seen this guy on the internet, the Good Cemeterian? Mm-mm. Well, I'd love to talk to Chris Bro and ask him if he was inspired by this person, because this guy, that's what he does, and he's been on the internet for a couple of months, like making the rounds, and he goes around and he cleans headstones and brings them back to new, like 100-plus-year-old headstones, and they look like brand new.
Beautiful.
He shares with people all the chemicals he used and how to do it without damaging them, and so it's all over the internet, and it just sounds like he said that people have been inspired all over the country. He never thought that it was going to happen, and I just very curious, because it goes into what you're saying. That guy just said, "I'm going to do this."
Yeah. I don't know his why.
Yeah.
I don't know it, but he could tell you.
Yeah.
You know?
And so, you go, hey, I'm going to do this thing, this one thing.
Yeah.
There's so many people doing things that aren't even seen.
That's why I love your podcast. What's the good news?
Yeah. What is it?
What is it? Because look, you turn on the news.
Right on.
Negative. I don't even watch it anymore.
And me either. That's actually, this came from that. And that's kind of your point, in exactly your point that you're making is enough for me was like, enough. I'm flowing over with this, and I can stop listening to stuff. And I did. And I thought, well, okay, what if I just retune and go, well, let me listen to new stuff.
Oh yeah, man. Look, I saw Mickey Smith came on. Carrie Hankins came on. Mickey came and spoke at our school.
Yeah, I saw that video that y'all were talking about him. Yeah.
Phenomenal. Carrie is such an inspiration. What she's doing is just changing the world one young person at a time. On
that note, and it's just proof positive. I know somebody very close to me who, that, how do I say it? I'll just say it like this. They know Carrie in the program, and they look at everything she does, and they say to me, I wish that had existed when I was a 15 and 16-year-old girl. It would have changed their lives. Mm-hmm. And I know these people, and I go, yeah, I know it would have, because I know what happened, because they didn't have the information. So it just goes to show you, you can, you hear that voice, like you said, that little thing's going, somebody ought to do something. It's that somebody ought to, and then there's a prayer that me and my son would say at night, and it's something we made up, but we would try to pray into the cracks and the crevices, basically, is the way we'd put it, for the people that are in, that we don't know.
Right.
The hungry child on the street that we don't know, the person in the shadows, the forgotten. And we'd always say, Lord, send them a helper.
Right.
And then the next part was, and if that helper is me, send me. And, that's the thing. That is the thing, man.
That is the thing. That's the power. The inner power is be that person. Very Gandhi-ish, be the change you want to see.
Look, man, look on that top shelf right there.
Right.
That's the man. I'm with you on that.
It's simple but not easy.
Yeah.
To answer the call.
It is. I'm glad you brought Gandhi up, because I remember, boy, we're about to get into it, man, right here. Now, I remember in high school, I had And this is the whole point of taking something that you perceived as negative turns into something positive.
Correct.
I was in geography class, and I had a teacher that just kind of checked out. It was not a dynamic class. We watched movies all the time and called it geography.
Right.
You know, no slight on this person. I don't know why. I really don't. Maybe they'd been, I don't know, maybe they're burned out. I couldn't tell you. But for whatever reason, we watch movies all the time. And one day, well, it wasn't one day because back then it was a 4 tape box set.
Yeah.
We're watching Gandhi. I didn't know who Gandhi was. But I could not wait to get to that class every day to watch that movie. That was my first, the first social justice persona that I had as a young adult or teenager ever really went, whoa. So this guy saw an injustice and he just non-violently chose to change it, and just by putting his own neck on the line blew my mind. And still to this day blows my mind. I mean, that you can literally change things. I mean, his whole country changed. I mean, overthrew an empire.
Yeah.
That blows my mind still I think we forget that. I really do. Like, I think we almost kind of get, and it's the sin of busyness for me. It is. It's
right.
like, oh, I'm so busy. I can't change anything. I just maintain this and maintain that and pay the bills and, you know, get the breakfast made and lunches packed and, you know.
Yep.
It's
life.
Yeah, life. And then somewhere in that, it's like, whoa, wait a second. I'm on autopilot.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, not that doing those things aren't important. You're taking care of your family, but
I get what you're saying. But are you fully present? Or
right.
Are you really just cruising?
Cruising.
That's a big difference.
Huge difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm always fascinated by that. I mean, I think for you, I'm not around children. I'm only around my own children, but I can imagine that you see it, and it probably just is the reward. When you see not just children, but you probably see your coworkers, other educators, you see something just come on, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And then with a kid, when you're going, oh, they're getting this. That's probably the big part of the payoff for you, huh? Like, I'm sure that feels good.
Absolutely. I mean, it's in the book, Why Leaders Eat Last, he actually goes through the chemicals that are released by your brain and then, kind of the what happens or why it's released. And it's really interesting. It's worth a read or a listen to, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I'm going to check it out.
But yeah, it's just inspiring others to be better, right?
Right.
It's just, I love that.
Yeah, I think passing it on is the way to go. I mean, I'm no saint because I'm guilty of I told somebody the other day in one of these interviews, I said, I don't have to look very far to find all the things that I disdain about the world, because I can go get up and brush my teeth and stare at my own eyes and see it.
Right.
I mean, I know the thoughts that I don't share. I know the seeds of all that's in there. I think that it's worth wrestling with.
Yes.
You know, that's for me where it's at. So what's next with you? I mean, what's going on with you're right where you need to be right now, huh?
So, story of the 3 monks, right?
Yeah.
So 3 monks are shooting pool. One of them pitches the question, hey, if today was your last day, right? Where would you be? One of them says, hey, I'd be at home spending time with my family at the house I grew up in. Another one was like, I love the beach. I would love to be sitting on the beach. And then the third monk takes a shot at pool and he says, I'd be right here. Look, I'm right where I need to be in the whole bigger scheme of things. I don't know where I don't know. Who knows what's tomorrow?
Yeah.
Who knows when I walk out the door, because that's that whole control idea is I truly want to live right now.
Yeah.
I want to make the most of right now. And so that's a concept that has been kind of evolving for me, right? Because everything was to the future. Everything was goal oriented, which it's still there.
Sure.
I mean,
it's hard to not. I mean, we live on a linear timeline, so it's going to be that way.
And I'm still driven, and I still want to make an impact. but I want to make it right now. You know?
Yeah. So you're focused on the now. Or trying to stay focused
trying
on
to
it.
be.
Yeah. Because it's hard to be.
Absolutely.
Mindfulness and awareness and presentness. I'm a big believer in all those things, and I've had times where I would say I've settled into those things, but I know the difference. You know, I get it. I sometimes I used to kind of almost, if I'm being truly honest, I used to kind of get sick of hearing about it because you'd hear it go, you need to be in the present, you need to be mindful, and I go, look. I get it, but I mean, I'm also got at things that they're on the timeline. I mean,
right.
If I didn't live in time, we all do. You can't escape that. You know, it's like you can't really do it. There's just sometimes your life is just structured in a way to where it can't be done. But I think it's good to go back to it.
I think let's just like I see your glass is sitting here in a term that I've come to know and use is let's just look at life through a different lens.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we do get in autopilot.
Yeah.
And that's just a reality. And so I do not want to put your listeners or put you in this mindset that everything is rainbow and butterflies. I mean, it's not.
It's not.
You know,
well, that's why we're here. We're talking about it because we need more of maybe more rainbows, but
it comes with the bad.
That's right.
But there can be no good without bad.
Yeah. Well, we wouldn't even know what it is.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So now what's next is just living, trying to truly live with my children, with my wife, with my interactions at work or interactions with a guy who asked me to come on a podcast. You know,
right.
I mean, it's just live life.
Yeah.
Share like Mickey Smith. Love his share your passion or find your passion.
Yeah.
If you don't know your passion, find it.
Yeah.
Right? What's your purpose? Find that. And so that's where I'm at right now.
You know, I've got one of my children dealt with mental illness, and that what you just said, find your purpose, that was something I always believed in too until we dealt with, clinical depression and anxiety and things like that. And then that was the first time it never dawned on me because I was saying that stuff to my kid.
Yeah.
Find your purpose,
right.
Find your passion. I had no idea that I was actually making her life harder.
Right.
Because I'm going, hey, this is good. This is a good tip, right?
Right.
And so that for a while, it got murky for me. I got scared of that. I thought, oh man, how many other people are out there? And instead of find your passion, going, yeah, man, I'm going to go out. I'm Mayor Goldie Wilson. I like the sound of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't that. It was like, oh my gosh, I don't know. And then it just drove that person into a hole. So I have become more aware of like, okay, and I hate to say it, but I've got a governor now. I'm like, ugh, I'm scared. It made me gun shy, I guess, of it. And so I think it's just damage. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I think, and that's something I'm struggling with right now because it changed me. The despair that we went through with that and what I saw somebody I love go through.
Right.
It's weird how life shifts you because I was so different and now I don't know, this is thing there. Speaking of shifting, it makes me kind of want to know from you, do you have something like that in your life where you felt a big shift occur and that you go, this is on my string of knots, that this is a knot. I tied a knot because I'm going to remember this.
Oh, look, we had I guess when I was an assistant principal, had an incident with a student where I wound up spending 7-8 hours with her waiting on a bed at Memorial.
Yeah.
And so that was a pivotal moment in my life because for a while there, I could fix things, I could fix things, but I could not fix that. And I just had a son, so I had a baby at the house and I'm sitting there and the student asked me if I would just stay.
Yeah.
Like, please don't leave.
Wow.
So, okay. I'm not going anywhere until legally I can't go with you any further.
Right. But you're there.
Yeah, I'm with you. So that was obviously a whole lot more into that, but can't really get into.
No, I understand.
But that was a huge shift and huge eye opener that honestly, mental illness is a real thing.
Yeah.
It's not something that can just be quote fixed.
Yeah, you're not just going to talk your way out of that.
No, and that's out of my one pay grade knowledge base.
Yeah.
Ability. So,
yeah. You know, I kind of went through that. I always felt like I had a pretty good handle on my mind, I guess. You know, and that sounds kind of arrogant. I probably shouldn't even say it, but I did. I felt like I had I guess because I felt like I reflected on myself a lot. So I thought, I know my mind because I'm in it a lot. Probably, I guess we all are. But I mean, I felt like I spent a lot of time there thinking about why I did things.
Right.
But I had something that really gave me a lot of insight. I've never really been a big fan of things that alter your mind or medicines and things like that just make you feel weird. I just never was. I don't like not having control of my mind.
Right.
And so I stayed away, even as a young person, I stayed away from drugs and drinking and stuff like that. But several years back, I had an emergency surgery that just popped up on me, something that had to be done. Well, they put me on medicine, a painkiller after this surgery. And I'm not kidding you, it drove me into a depression. I didn't even know what was happening, but I was keeping a journal, and I only keep it now just to remind myself. Mm-hmm. That medication put me in a place I never thought I was ever going to get. And so I quit taking the medicine, and then day by day, week by week, I returned to my mind. When I had the follow-up surgery, I told them, I said, look, I can't have this. And I had ended up not even taking my pain medicine after the surgery because I was so terrified.
Yeah.
Well, whenever we started dealing with depression with my daughter and anxiety and all that, when I find now that she's better, you know, she still struggles, but she's older and better. Now, when she talks about it, I tell her, I said, what you're describing is what I was going through. And I said, and I felt ashamed because I was like, God, I didn't know what the heaviness and the pain. And I just think about it now, you know, how often we can shuck off somebody who's going through that and go, oh, they're just hard to deal with, man.
Right.
And the burden they're carrying.
It's easy to love those that love us.
Yeah.
Right. And
right. No, it's,
I mean, the challenge, or I guess his challenge is to love those that are difficult to love.
right. Right.
And not saying you didn't love your daughter.
No, but it's harder. You're right.
I mean,
you're struggling.
she's going with something that, or people with mental illness are going through something that we don't understand because we're not living that.
Yeah,
You
right.
know,
It's not our reality. You
it's
know, we're
not
just
our
on the
lens.
outside of it, kind of. Yeah, it's not our lens. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that's it's awesome that you stayed with that child. Really, I think that. Well, what I mean is it's awesome for you to have that experience because it does. I can see how you probably learned something. What I'm listening to you as I'm hearing that, I'm going, just presence
Yeah.
is powerful.
Yeah.
Just being there with somebody.
Well, in that moment, it's holy cow! Like how this child trusts me enough to ask me to stay with them until
Yeah.
the next step. The child was fully aware that
Yeah.
you know, my limits and boundaries and
Yeah.
what could or couldn't be, and but yeah, that's very humbling to have somebody who is not yours
Yeah.
be like, hey, you know.
I imagine that's probably how people discover gifts because as I hear you tell that story, I can imagine, and again, this is just me fantasizing about it, but I can imagine somebody in your situation being asked to just say, hey, just stay with me. And then this person not even realizing until that moment, hey, you know, why are they asking me this? Maybe I should do this more. Maybe I should be aware that my presence matters. And then you find out that you have a gift have you ever had gifts just show up and you go, I didn't realize I was.
Yeah, it's just unexpected opportunities present itself, you know.
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad to get inside your head for a little while. Honestly, this was really good. And I think that, everything that you said is something that I know I'm going to take away. We're actually going to start doing something a little different after this episode. We're going to start doing B-sides.
Okay.
Because what I find is as we go back and start editing the episodes, I learn so much, and then it's there's so many golden nuggets that come out of them. For the next few days, I'm going, oh man, just having all these thoughts that are generated from the conversations. And so we're going to start doing some post-interview reflections,
Cool.
things that just bubble up after the 2 or 3 days of, being with that interview and that person.
It's cool.
And see how that goes. It's just one more way to kind of get people to dig a little deeper.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I see you got the axe bracelet on.
Yes. So that is where my journey really began.
Okay.
I mean, after that, it was like, okay, the idea of control is so far removed from my brain that I went, I took a trip. There were so many things leading up to that day and that night. Just I felt a tug, and then it was more like a push.
Yeah.
And then that happened, and I'm like, okay, I need something. I need a foundation stronger than myself. So yeah, I made an axe retreat and just started learning. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I could honestly trace this show back to Axe.
Yeah.
My wife and I had that conversation. It's for me, one of the big takeaways without talking about Axe. First of all, if you haven't been on an Axe retreat, you should consider it. Now, let's just say it that way. Just at least put the bug in your brain that maybe start thinking about it.
Yeah.
The other thing is
Don't you love the siren at the same time
Yeah.
the axe comes up? Just a distractor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Just like, oh, wait, what was that?
Let me do anything to distract the conversation away from
Yeah.
it.
And you know what's crazy? How often there are so many sirens on this road.
Yeah.
And when we listen to these, you're driving and you think that there's a siren.
Yeah, right.
But it's true. And it's funny because I'll tell you, I went on my axe retreat because I actually got hit by a car.
No kidding.
While I used to get up in the morning and go before sunrise and go walk and pray.
Yeah.
You mentioned that at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh yeah, I do the same thing. And years ago when I first started contemplating, walking with God, I was like, I'm trying to get to know my Creator again after many years. And I would get up and go pray and walk, and I got hit by a car one morning.
Okay.
But the person I actually was praying a rosary, and the person who hit me was also in their car doing the same thing. So it was kind of strange the way it all went down. And I said, well, you know what? I'm going to go on that retreat. It kind of just said, hey, I'm going to go, because you never know how many more I'm going to say no to.
That's right.
And after that. And I went, and one of my big takeaways was people have stories to tell.
Yes.
And we don't know what we think we know about people. And there's hidden, I saw gold in hearts, man.
Yep.
That's what I saw. And I was like, oh man, there's gold in everybody's heart. You just got to go digging for it. You got to go give people a format.
It's unexpected opportunities, right? You get hit by a car, and then it changes your life.
Yeah. Right. That's right. No, it's true.
For the better.
For the better.
Yeah.
It's
just.
Because, you have to, that for me, and it wasn't the only thing, but it was a big one because I thought, okay, I could have died, really. I mean, but everything worked out just so I got hit just enough.
Right.
To wake up and go, okay, well, I can use these days that are left to do something, and I like to talk to people.
Right.
I do. I love people. I love getting to know people. So let's just make it a thing that we just talk to people, man.
That's right.
Yeah. Give them an opportunity to show. I think if more people, like bringing you on, Carrie, people like that, and y'all are also humble, I'm always amazed by that because I go, okay, this is inspiring to people out there who are going, like you said earlier, well, I don't know, what can I do? It just says, you just said it. I mean, do anything small.
And what I find is people are doing things, positive things.
Yeah.
And I think the majority of people are pretty humble, which is interesting because ego drives everything. But at the same time, I think for the most part, people are humble, and they don't view that what they do is having an impact.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, right.
So it's right back to that awareness piece. Like, let me just be aware of what's going on around me, and myself in what's going on around me.
Yeah.
So
It's interesting that you say that about the ordinary, and I've thought it a few times in these talks. One of the things that I always liked about some of the teachings of the Buddha was that very thing. Was people would say, "Oh, you're a god," and he'd be like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, no, I'm not. I'm just a man. I have nothing special about me. I have no powers. I don't know anything you don't know. I'm just a man, and so you can go do what I did."
that's right.
And you can train your mind to think differently. You can do what I did. Go test what I said, because you're a man too.
Right.
And I think sometimes that we think people who do great things there's something. We elevate them and we go, oh,
right.
they did it because X, Y, Z. But it's like, I'm just a man,
That's
just a
right.
person, just like you.
So the Hot Mess Express, like,
Yeah, right.
Just to revisit that.
Yeah.
So that came. So the cool thing is, one, it came from somebody else. We just stole it and changed the name in our building. But then Dr. Lacey Fontenot, she's our curriculum coordinator. She says, it'd be cool. What if we brought it to our feeder schools, right? Because we vertically team our sixth grade teachers, talk to the fifth grade teachers at the end of the year to learn about the upcoming students.
Yeah.
Right. It's just what have y'all done that worked, not worked? We don't want to make the same mistakes. And she's like, what if we take that to our feeder schools and, just go thank them?
Yeah, I saw y'all doing that. Okay, yeah.
So we just did our second round of our 8 feeder schools. We have 8 that feed into us. So we've gotten half of them. It's just awesome. But her idea, she took something that's in place. It's a red cart with neon green poster board.
Yeah.
It is not special.
Right, I got you, yeah.
But the idea behind it and the reason behind it validates people. And so we have now brought that to our feeder schools, which has been just an amazing response. It's so cool to see.
Well, and I was watching those videos, and I thought, well, this is cool. I mean, to me, it goes back to something I said yesterday in an interview. And I said, I think, and it's something I've dealt with in our industry, is that it's so busy. It's a deadline driven industry, which most things are, but ours is really, it's everyday deadline.
Yeah.
And I think, and this is no slight on the client, and I sometimes am afraid to tailor what I'm saying because I don't want to say, oh, well, that sounds like I don't appreciate a client.
Right.
I do appreciate the client, but I think they're guilty of what we're guilty of, and that is just trucking along.
That's right.
Okay, cool, project's done, move on to the next thing.
Boom.
And we begin to starve out the creativity, because the creativity wants to say, take a minute and look at me. Not out of ego, just the creative thing, whatever it is we made. I mean, you can see the table. It's
Yeah.
just years of stuff. And you go, this thing doesn't want to just be something that, okay, cool, and move on. It
Right.
wants to go, oh, somebody made it. Somebody put their heart into it. Somebody chose the color. Somebody tailored the lettering. Somebody put all this together. Just take a minute.
Yeah, and
go,
appreciate it.
That's awesome. Good job.
That's right.
So for a while, that was kind of my little tiny Hot Mess Express is to be that person for my little team, is to go, hey, I know you're maybe not going to get this from the client,
Right.
but I've done this for 20 plus years, and I want you to know, with whatever experience that has given me, I see that it's awesome.
You just validate their purpose.
Yeah.
I mean,
you chose
it's awesome.
you chose to get in this field. I want you to know that ultimately somebody else in the field recognizes that.
Well, and something that we are just experts at as humans, we are just amazing at picking out the flaws.
Oh yeah. Right
and,
on.
And whether, it's very
Guilty.
easy.
I'm guilty. Yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, I'm an administrator. My job is to evaluate teaching, but it's what's going right. It's not all about the negatives.
Yeah.
There's 2 sides to an evaluation. What is really good? Let's hone in on that. And
Yeah.
build on that and get that, really going. And hey, let's just bring this up.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's refocusing the way you think. I mean, I have to do it. I struggle with it. I'm actually learning to do it again, because I think when I was younger, and maybe there's a lot of people that this happens, I got jaded over time. And I tend to, it's kind of funny, boy, I'm about to really reveal something. We've been talking about it here. So, but I have this little exercise that I do, and it's, I call it the other Orans. And what I do is when I'm having trouble or of any kind of something I can't quite figure out, I'll go sit somewhere, maybe a park, just get away. And then I contemplate, and this just maybe comes from my sci-fi fascination, but it comes, I go, okay, so there's a multiverse and there's other versions of me out there who at this key junction chose to do a different thing. So they chose to not go to this school, they chose to go to that school, or they chose to become a teacher instead of this. And so I'll sit and I'll let that play out
Right.
as far as I can go in my imagination. And what I've found is that I actually learn from these little games I play. You know, I teach myself how to get back to things that maybe I lost.
Yeah.
And so that's my point is, when I was younger and before I was jaded, sometimes I play into that role again and go, let's go back to when you didn't have this thought, before you felt cynical about this, and go back and play that back out again. And then just in going back, like watching an old film or an old movie that you liked, I can get back and go, okay, I can kind of pull myself back into that space.
Yeah.
And then even though the poisons and contaminations of the 20 years past are still there, I can say, yeah, I see you now, though.
Right.
You know, now when you arrive in my mind and try to get me, I'm back to, I got my old boy Oran back here, 1995.
Yeah.
He got that positive worldview. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it kind of like gives me a buddy. You know, I can come back and
That's right.
double up.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing, but it works for me, man. It's a little mental trick. And
Everybody has their own thing, you know, but it's just being mindful enough to say, I know that this is a feeling,
yeah,
right? I mean, I think now for the said purpose, but just knowing that feelings come and go and not getting hung up on that.
yeah.
So, yeah. So,
I tell my son sometimes, I said, and I pulled this from some reading Buddhist literature for years, was the clear blue sky. Yeah, it's a stress sausage.
Yeah, I like
you
it.
like that?
I do.
we get, you see all the little orange toys. When we see some kind of orange toy, we try to pick them up.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right.
But,
so,
you know, I tell my son, I said, the clear blue sky, you know, they say that a lot, and that the mind is the clear blue sky. And the clear blue sky is actually always there. Even in I compare it to the weather, that right now there may be clouds in the sky, but ultimately the clear blue sky is not gone.
no, because just get above the clouds.
Just wait a minute, let it, and that's something that's difficult because a thought can just take you.
Oh, yeah.
Just you're on the train.
I mean, if you really replay what we've been talking about, how many tangents have we gone on?
I know, man. Right.
Yeah.
But it's good, you know. It's
Yeah.
good to have talks like this. I think, man, just keep the wheels spinning. Yours are probably always spinning. If you're like me, it's like you're always thinking, man.
Oh, yeah.
I could tell when I listened to your videos. I was like, oh, he's got stuff going on in there.
If
He's got
half
stuff.
the ideas got implemented, I wouldn't sleep.
Do you keep like a journal or something?
Not yet. I've been telling myself that I'd love to journal. Right now, it's just I don't make time.
Me either. I do and
Yeah.
I don't. I get hot on it and then cold on it.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Man, I've just been reading so much.
Yeah.
You know, I came across a video down the YouTube rabbit hole, and he broke it down. He says, you know, CEOs and millionaires, they have one thing in common, and that's that they read 4 books a month. On average, they read 4 books a month. And then he breaks it down. He says, you know, the average person, adult, has a reading ability of 200 words per minute, and then he broke it down. So if you read 45 minutes a day, that's a book a week, 4 books a month. But it's just the power of reading,
Yeah.
of other people's experiences.
I
And
agree.
so now we've evolved to spoken word, and we've evolved even further to video that we can do that. So I think that's the medium I enjoy.
Who do you read? Who do you read like go to when it's time to?
Man, so over the summer and here lately has been anything, like I referenced earlier, anything from a leadership standpoint.
Yeah.
I don't know, like I'm slowly moving away from Jocko Willink.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm currently in his new book. And while listening to Simon Sinek's audiobook, I'll kind of bounce back and forth, and then I'm working in from the Screw Tape Letters.
Oh yeah,
C.S.
Screw Tape
Lewis.
Letters, yeah.
So I'm trying to read a letter a week.
Everybody ought to read Screw Tape
Oh my
Letters.
gosh, it's so amazing. But so busy reading, but Why Leaders Eat Last and Jocko's book, The Dichotomy of Leadership. Man, they just flow together. Leadership is you're not going to find anything new. Good leadership has some certain principles that it has, and so I just enjoy hearing different takes on it. So like John C. Maxwell, that's where I'm moving next. I'm telling you now, that's where I'm going next. The guy's just he's awesome when it comes to leadership, and I had it recommended. So just trying to learn as much as I can, because going back to the idea that people want to be led, right? Not managed.
Right.
Big difference.
There's a big difference, right?
Huge difference. So it's not anyone in particular, more on the topic of leadership.
Yeah.
How do I become a better person to positively influence other people around me? Because if that's my role right now, if that's what I'm here to do.
And it is. I mean, that is your role right now. I mean, you're
build better people.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I think that there's a book that you would probably like. I don't know the author, but it's a Gandhian philosophy of leadership. It's called the name of the book is A Higher Standard of Leadership.
Okay.
And it's all based on principles that they kind of peeled out from the things that he did. And I read it years ago, and I thought it was still to this day one of the go back to books. That you go, there's some things in here just to refresh my mind on. And I think it probably plays into, like you said, there's nothing new, but the principles are there. They're almost universal. I mean, they just kind of rise to the top. And when we see them in Christ, we see them in any great leader, honestly, that's really stepped out and said, it's time for a change, time to do something.
It's so cool to me, what you referenced earlier about, the world we live in today and how sharing a message, even stepping out and starting a good news podcast. At any point, somebody can find something negative about it if they so choose.
Oh, absolutely. It's probably going to happen. I mean, potentially,
But the risk to reward factor, you have an opportunity on the previous show, on the next show, something can come up to change somebody's perspective.
Yeah.
And just provide them with a different lens to see through.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know. It's just
no. I think
cool.
you're right.
So
you get the more a show or anything, just like what you're doing, the more you're with people, or the more diversity you get within your team,
right?
The broader it gets. I mean, and I thought the same thing. You get different voices, and as it grows, you begin to it's like a tentacles just going. It's like, oh, that is for me. And for me, when you listen to a show, especially podcasts, you may not listen to every one of them.
Correct.
You'll pick one and listen to that one because it's in your genre, or there's somebody on there and that's probably going to happen.
Sure.
But if you do listen to a show front to end, what I love about it being on my end of it is I get to see those universal bubbles kind of float to the top and go, oh, he said this too. Oh, she said this too.
That's right.
Oh, he said this too. And it's just this thread. And I begin to go, these are these high value, I don't know what word you call them, but I'd say divine truths, really, that are in human beings' hearts, that are put in us, and they want to come out because they're necessary. They're needed. These are the things that will make us a better animal, man.
Correct.
I mean,
I mean, that's what we are.
Yeah.
And so today I was talking to a teacher, and she was telling me how, oh man, I just went and observed this other teacher, which in the world of education, traditionally teachers don't go see other teachers, okay? Because it's a risk. They could be doing better than me.
Okay, I can see that.
Maybe if I see something, I'll see a deficit in myself.
Yeah.
But I got chills listening to her talk, and I really did. And I showed her. It's like she helped me with this, and I was in turn able to help her with this.
Yeah.
Whatever this is. But it's just so cool because that's about 3 or 4 years ago. I started to see trends in classrooms, and as a universal evaluator, right? I'm in and out of my classrooms all the time. It's no big deal for any of the admin team to walk into a class because we love student learning. And so it's cool. I actually got to say, y'all don't get to see what I see. Like, and I feel selfish.
Yeah.
Like, you're the creator of this podcast. You get to see the bubbles.
Yeah,
and you
right,
get to interact with each guest and then go back and replay it.
Yeah.
So you do see trends, and it's so impressive to see good teaching in action. And I think that's another reason why I get so fired up. And my people say, "You've had way too much coffee today." And I'm like, "No, man. I get excited because of what y'all are doing in the classroom. Like, their passion truly fuels me and inspires me."
Man, that is, I get what you're saying. You know, and I guess I'll relate it to my son. My son's in color guard, and, you know, he's really good at what he does, or at least I do. I think so as a parent. And when I go watch him perform after they've done their practice for the first part of the season, when he comes up to me, he's like, "Are you crying?" And I think he's curious. Why does it make you cry?
Right.
And I told him, I said, "I don't know. I guess I could say it makes me happy as your parent. I could blow it off, but it's deeper than that."
Right.
It's something about watching a person that you've nurtured, just like you're saying about seeing it from this different view. He doesn't see his life the way I see it.
Right.
I see the bullying he went through.
Yeah.
I see the different, just all the different things that led to this teenage boy who's now confident. So it's more in it than just, "Oh, you did a good job on the field." It's all wrapped up in the whole history of it.
Absolutely.
And it fills you up, and you go, oh, it's like, I don't know, something pops, and it's just like not tears of joy even. It's tears of, I don't know. I don't know the word. It's escaping me.
When you get to chapter 6 in Why Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek, call me.
Call you? Am I?
You'll have the reason. You'll
Okay.
have the reason why. And anybody out there, if you're listening, when you get to chapter 6, send me a Facebook message and tell me, "I got it." Well, I get why Oran feels that way. It's
Because
seriously.
it's something different. It's not quite
Oh no, he breaks
parental
it down.
love and joy. It's something else.
It's cool. He breaks it down from a chemical standpoint. That's going on. It's awesome.
Interesting.
30,000 foot view, man.
Yeah.
You have it. He's just a little. It's cool.
You know, you think about that and you go, and I mean, this is really getting back to our creator worldview. You know, you go, okay, imagine the creator's view of the timeline of human history. That we can't even. In that small moment when I look at my son, I take and go, well, is this just the tiniest, most minuscule fraction of what a creator of things and people sort of experiences? It's beyond love. It's like something else when you see them go through their whole history and maybe eventually come back to being the creatures you made them to be. I think that's something to contemplate.
Yeah. It's cool.
And I love you just